Hi guys, come on in. Say hi, Echo. Hi, my name's Danielle Filosa, and this is my handmade home in New Harbor, Maine. Welcome to the Seawwood Sanctuary. This house was built in 1977, built by a wonderful man named Peter. This was before I knew who Peter was, but Peter Canos was living at the time in upstate New York and saw an advertisement on the cover of a newspaper to build a home for himself sustainably in Maine. So he decided to move to Maine and go to the Shelter Institute, and where he decided to build this house. From 1979, he started living in it. August of 2020, the house went on the market, and it was a pretty big deal for him to do, and it was also a pretty big deal for me to buy. But then once we met, it was almost like a passing of a torch. What I love about this home, and I think what other people love about this home, is the light and the windows. These like open pan windows are really beautiful, and the fact that you just kind of get to see trees from every angle facing south. It was built south so that the sun comes in and it's solar. It felt like I had been here before in a weird way, but also that it had its own soul to it. It kind of felt like I was just walking into a piece of art. I like to call it the snow globe, especially when it's snowing, because you just kind of feel like you're in this little pocket of stillness. Like I call it the sanctuary for a reason, you know? Let's start in the kitchen. So my kitchen is pretty tiny. It kind of feels like a boathouse kitchen, but what I love about it is the open shelving. I get to really think about the glassware and the bowls that I chose, so everything kind of, this in itself feels like its own piece of art, which is nice. I found these really adorable, like cast iron, I think they're ashtrays. I think the simplicity is great. I think it kind of keeps me to have to be organized, which is really nice. So this makes me think about intentionality a lot. It makes me think creatively in ways that I wouldn't have before because of just how it's laid out. I got this idea from a family friend of just decorating your refrigerator rather than keeping it boring and white. I kind of have just like made my own collage, and all these things kind of have like a little story to them. I also get a lot of ridicule from framing my fish bag, but I just think the graphic's great. This is a score being kept in, I think, a 1977 basketball game that Peter did while he was watching the Knicks versus LA Lakers, which I think is kind of symbolic and funny because I am from LA and Peter is from New York, so we have this to match ourselves, but I'm never gonna take it down. I think it's great and I don't want to erase it. So this is the living room. This is mostly like entertaining space, and there's a lot of really special pieces in this room. One of them is my car print. I bought these when I was 19 at a flea market. Knowing that I've kind of always consistently had the same taste is something that I am proud of, I guess, in a way. This I love, that's just a needlepoint. Everyone that ever sits in that couch is always like, what is that? Is that made out of fabric? But then I have this kind of wonderful and bleak life stage of a woman that I got at an antique mall in Wisconsin. I wanted to start collecting like women's suffrage art. What this says is a telling of the times of where women were at. This is kind of the Peter and Danielle combination wall. So this is one of my favorite pieces, and this was a gift my mom gave to my dad in the 70s. This was definitely the inspiration for like the nautical theme for this wall. Then I found this like amazing sailor last year at a garage sale for $1 that kind of matches perfectly with him. And then these were Peter's, these like old fish like that I love. And so was this, and I just clipped some seaweed into it. And so was that. And then these seashells were Peter's as well, that he collected from like all over. I think those ones are from Australia. So I found this piece at a vintage store in LA when I was living there again. I was like, I'm gonna get back to Maine, I'm gonna get back to Maine. So I had this map being like, one day I'll be back in Maine and I'll hang it on my wall. And now it's hanging on my wall. There's a lot of like history, I feel like, in just the things that I own. And I love that. My first job I ever had was at an antique shop when I was 14. So there's just been this like interest for things for a very long time. I think there's a lot of beauty, and especially in old things, you know, craftsmanship and how things used to be made versus how things are made now. It's very different. So this is the guest room. I should also say this is my mom's room. She'll get very mad if I don't say that. This is my mother's bedroom, also the guest bedroom though. This room was an addition, but it feels like it wasn't because of how consistent it is and how well he did with matching it to the other side of the house. For me, like the house in itself is a piece of art. I think it was really important from the get-go to not really do anything about it, just like keep it how it is, and then for me just to be able to add my things to it. I get to be in this beautiful home that he built. Anytime I do something new, I always like send him over a video or a picture and be like, look what I did. And he's always very excited to see. And I love for him to be involved still, and I think he really enjoys being involved as well. He said to me he never knew this house could look as beautiful as it now does. And it really was very sweet. I'm gonna give you a little tear in my eye. I appreciate what he has done, and now he appreciates what I have done, and I think that's what makes it feel really special. My dad passed away in 2018, and he wore this ring from the age of 16 until 78 when he passed. So I got it and put it in a little box frame, and so I get to see it every day. You can frame jewelry, you can frame anything. If you can frame a fish bag, you can frame jewelry too. We come to the upstairs. This is the Zen Den, is what I like to call it. I do all my computer work here. So this is like my TV area. I do a lot of crafting up here. And then I found this piece that I love, and this was a deal. I found this for 40 bucks, and it's an old shoe factory toolbox. Trunks are go-to always and forever. I've been trunking things since I was 18, actually. When it comes to moving things, I would always keep like all my art in a trunk and then move it that way, which was really easy. So yeah, I'm forever grateful for trunks because they look great and you can put stuff in them. I found these two couches on Facebook Marketplace, but they smelled like a 70s nightclub when I got them. So I aired them out and now they smell great, but that was, you know, a risk you take when you buy something on Facebook Marketplace. This house, because it was built in the 70s, just really complemented the style that I already liked. I think it's like nice to kind of stay in the time frame of when it was built. Collecting things has always been something that I've just been drawn to, but I think it's, for me, finding things that make me feel good. Like, it's kind of, that sounds like pretty simple, but it just is that simple. Like, I think for me, it's really important to find things that matter because I'm the one that's gonna look at them all the time and I wanna like them, and I don't wanna just look at them because I feel like I have to put something somewhere. People get rid of things because they don't really have meaning to them, but if you actually are buying things that you really genuinely like, then you're not gonna wanna get rid of them. Echo agrees, I think. Rugs. I got this rug and the rug in the Zen Den and the rug in the guest room in Morocco. I lugged them on my back for like 2.5 weeks. And my friends thought I was a little bit out of my mind, but they made it and they've been here now for like 6 years. Because everything is open, I thought the best way to keep things safe was to put plants here into this area. So plants are protecting us in most areas. 2 things over here. One is this latch hook that I did myself during the COVID. And I was like, one day this will go on my house wall. Didn't have a house yet. One of my other oldest pieces is this elephant that I got at a garage sale when I was 18. Still have it. The frame's broken a couple times, but it's still moving. I'd already been building my aesthetic for so long that it was more about just finally being able to put my stuff somewhere. It feels pretty good. The structure was already beautiful, and then I added my things into it, and I like my things, so it just kind of blended well, and now it looks really nice. It honestly feels like I finally get to rest too, because I did so much moving, and now we all get to just like be together in one place, and it's really nice, and I think we're all really happy about it. And then this is my bedroom. I think one of the coolest features when I first saw the house was the little walkout window. I love that deck. I love sitting out on that deck. When I saw it, I was like, this person knows what's up. It's really fun when I have parties, like to have friends down there, people up here, people upstairs, people outside, and to like view everyone at their different angles. It's really awesome. Echo, come on, let's go inside. Come on. Upstairs, you can really get to see the timber beams. And the idea of why the house only has windows on this side and the reason of why it's slanted is because this is south facing, so the sun and solar come this way to keep the house warm. And then there's a bunch of different wood slats open up, and then there's a whole ventilation system all around the house, and that's to get air flowing. So during summer, it can stay cool, which is really helpful. It's also really beautiful to kind of watch like the sun and to kind of see the intentionality between where the light is coming from. I don't ever want to be a person that designs just to fill spaces. I want to be a person that designs that makes someone feel a certain way. The things that are in this home make me feel a certain way. So even if like I'm doing nothing on a daily basis, if I can just look at my things, I'm pretty happy. I have a couple friends actually that have really found a lot of inspiration in this home, which I think makes it even more special. To be able to be in a space that you feel inspired in is honestly like the ultimate goal of what I've always wanted to have as a place to live. So for that to be now happening for others is really special to me.
Hi, my name is Sarah Reed, and this is my handmade home in southern New Hampshire. Hey guys, welcome to my house. Come on in. I live here with my husband Matthew and our amazing cat George. My dad's parents, they were looking for a little retreat. They were in their 40s. They befriended the landowner and bought it for several $100s in 1963. So they found a kit company in Maine who they built all the timber, and it came on a flatbed truck down this little dirt road, and spent the summer building it, just the three of them. When we took over it, it had wood rafters and kind of a yellowish insulated panels in between the rafters, and it was pretty dark. So it was really important to me to brighten it up. And I know some people hate when we paint wood, but I don't, and so I wanted it white, so I did that. The living room is where we spend most of our time. This stove is so iconic for the 60s, which is when this place was built. It really makes the room. Like everything in here is like family artifacts. These are crates that literally my mom and uncle traveled across the country with. This is my mom's parents' sofa. It was this orange wool that I had recovered. I lovingly call this house Frankenstein or Frankie because it is so cobbled together. Each room has its own personality. As a designer, you know, I like cohesiveness and I like the whole house to tell a story. And I have wondered, like, is it weird to go from this pine room into this white? You're not gonna unify it with paint. Like, it's a weird space or unique space. We have a lot of books. We have a joke about how he wants to die by being crushed by books, and I want to die by being killed by my houseplants. So it's a houseplant book race to see who will get us first. This kitchen is only 8 by 8 feet, but it's incredibly efficient. 2 of us can be in here working. My grandparents had it set up very differently, and I knew it wasn't going to work for us. We kept their old sink, and I have so many memories of my grandmother at this sink. I happened to have this Hoosier. It's exactly the size of the sink, so we took it apart, plopped it in there, and then this fit perfectly under the skylight. It has lots of weird little spaces, so I found products that fit. I designed this whole thing very specifically for this use. It flows really well for us. This is the dining room. My grandparents added it to the A-frame in 1980. There was no electricity here, so everything you see was built by hand. There was no power tools here. So my grandfather hand sanded and hand joined and did all the work. My grandparents would be here in the summers, and I would see them when I was visiting my dad. It was that way until the 90s when my grandfather died and my grandmother got too old to be here, and it just sat here. Everybody agreed that I could take it on, so I did. We got the A-frame in 2011, and my grandmother had left all of her stuff here, and it had been sitting since the 90s. It was heart-wrenching to see my grandfather's slippers, literally slippers by the door. Their toothbrushes were still in the cup by the sink. The table that I ate so many meals at, just all the artifacts of their life. But I also knew that I really wanted it to be mine and that we would just carry on the legacy of the A-frame in my own way. I brought my dad's old door from his original house over, and we made a table out of that. So it's still a really meaningful table. It's just not the old table that I grew up with. At some point in the 90s, they had me and all of my cousins and aunts and uncles engrave our names. I don't even know if you can see it. I'm way down here. I put myself in the corner. I had forgotten that we had etched our names into that glass. I'm gonna cry. I actually rediscovered it just a couple years ago, because you don't really see it. You know, handwriting is so immediately personal and brings you to that person. So to see my whole family's handwriting, and how could I get rid of that, you know? My grandfather built this. It's the same as it ever was. We built this in to be more functional in the kitchen and because we love a good bar. As a designer, it sounds really woo-woo, and I'm not a woo-woo person. I'm really not a new age person, but I really like to walk into a space and ask it, what do you want to be? What do you need? It was really important for me to keep some of my grandparents and to make it my own, but also to make it what it wanted to be. One of the things that I love about the A-frame is it affords all these very strange nooks and crannies to kind of put stuff that are unusual. This is the most controversial thing I've ever done on Instagram. I know, it's breaking the spines, I know. We've read most of them, or we're not going to read them. They're okay, I love them, so don't at me. So this room was added in 2016. We were married in the summer of 2015 across the street at my parents' house, and my dad built us a temporary barn structure for the party. Everything you see, other than the pine cladding, was part of that structure. These are the original floorboards. This is where a friend of ours passed out at the reception, and someone else outlined him. After the wedding, my dad took down the barn and made this room. My only instructions were, I want it to be as big as possible, and I want these twin bed guest beds to use the angle of the A-frame. One of the things that I love about this room is the height of this wall and seeing the exterior of the A-frame. I really wanted to use the slope of the exterior of the A-frame in some way, and I realized that beds kind of jutting out would be amazing, and we happened to have this ladder lying about. For our wedding, we had our friends sign the building itself rather than a guest book, knowing that we were gonna do this. So we cut them all up and made these beds, and now we can never move. I don't really know where my body stops and this house begins. It is so one and the same to me. I feel more encouraged and emboldened to ask them to dig a little deeper when we're doing that process, the design process, because I think it's really good for your heart and your mind. Aesthetically, beauty is really, really important to me. I think it's important to the human psyche. A lot of people don't live with a lot of physical beauty in their spaces, and I think they just don't know, it's not their thing, and they don't know how to do it, and they think it costs a lot of money. And so I'm always trying to use what they have, to repurpose what they have, to get them into thrift stores. I'm not interested in spending a lot of money. I've always been interested in getting the insides of a person externalized in their environment. So when I'm working with a client, I talk to them a lot about family history, cultural history. I'm always looking for their more personal items to use. I think one of the ways that I am different than other designers is I will take on a client for a couple-hour job. I don't need to take on a huge house and fill it with all the things that are new from big box stores. I love just pointing out to someone like, oh, you want this room to feel this way? What if you took your living room rug and brought it in here? And then they do that and they're like, literally our lives have changed. It's all the small little ways that you can affect your space that I hope I illuminate those for my clients. This space was actually kind of a nothing space when we moved in full time. So I asked my dad to build this because I've always wanted a library. Who doesn't want a library? But we clearly don't have just an extra room to make into a library. So we have a little nook, a little library nook. When you're designing a new build, you wouldn't end up with so many weird little nooks and crannies. I mean, I'm a big history buff. I've always loved history, and so to feel history in a space, you can't design that, and you can't replicate it. You can't make it happen. It has to happen over time, and I think as humans, we can just sense that. And this chair specifically is so, so special to me. I respond to objects. I don't really respond to art. I don't really respond to movies. It's objects and the arrangement of objects that make me just gasp out loud. So when I saw this chair, it was like seeing your crush or something, you know? I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It's gonna be $500. I don't have that kind of money. And I asked the guy who was selling it, how much do you want for the chair? And he said, $35. And I said, okay, yes, please, thank you, yep. So this is my immediate family. When I was growing up, these two walls were covered in portraits of all the grandchildren. So I knew I wanted to do something like that here. And then this is for the people we have lost. This is Bob, and I love him. He married us, and he died last year. And this was taken in this space. So it's really just meaningful to see him every day. My grandparents were really very interesting people, really hard people. And they never imagined this A-frame beyond themselves. And so I don't know what they would think. I'm sure they would be happy that it's still in the family. In 2011, when the family was contemplating selling it, the idea that strangers or even family friends would take it on, I think emotionally felt like strangers would be moving into my grandparents' literal bodies. Their bodies and beings and humanness was so connected to this land, to this property, that I couldn't really separate them. I have such a deep connection to my family history. I know a lot of people don't. I guess my family has always had a culture of honoring that and thinking about it and talking about it. It would have been really heartbreaking. This is our dressing room. It was my grandparents' bedroom. A-frames really have their challenges when it comes to storage and angles. I found these really shallow dressers and decided to make a whole wall of them. They came as raw pine. I just took some paint that I had, and I thought I would try to do a plaid, but it turns out that plaid is incredibly hard to draw and paint. So I got some wallpaper in kind of the same color scheme. It just kind of came out of me. These rugs are really important to me. My husband's aunt was an artist, and when she passed, we were allowed to take one thing from her house. She was a real kindred spirit to me. So when I walk on this, I think of her. When we moved here, I was finally like reunited with all my stuff. So I went through all of my archives. I have saved everything my whole life. And I just started pinning things up from my life that meant something to me. And eventually it just took on this whole collage, just the biggest collage I've ever made. This room, probably above all the rooms, is where I feel like I'm inside of myself. This A-frame sits on 7 acres, and it is surrounded by literally hundreds of acres of Audubon land. We are very isolated and insulated, except there was this little 60s cabin. So with that, we have this little guest house. So this is the guest house. It's all about this view. It's all about relaxing, reading, writing, puzzles. Whatever is chill and relax, you can do here. This is an antique stove that I love that we had restored, but it's only got 2 burners and there's no oven. Like, chill, make a sandwich. It's cool. It was another family's cabin who I knew. I knew them growing up, and the kids of that couple were so generous and gracious throughout the process of us buying it and renovating it. They've been nothing but supportive, and they've actually visited twice, and I can't say how much it means to have their approval, because we really changed it a lot. They were nice enough to offer it to us before putting it on the market, because that would have really changed our relationship to the land.
I'm Steffi, welcome to my house in Long Beach, New York. Before we go inside, I want to show you my favorite part of the house, which is the arch outside. So we are in front of my favorite part of my house, which is my arch. And when I bought my house almost 10 years ago, it did not have any curb appeal. So I really knew I wanted to change the look of my house. And luckily for me, my uncle is a local contractor, Pat at Pat Gordon Contracting, and he was like, you could do whatever you want. I came up with the idea to construct an arch in front of my house, and I really wanted the arch to have open sides to feel light and airy and have natural light when I was going up to my front door, and the vision just came alive. It totally transformed the whole look of my house, and I think it just gave me hope that, like, whatever you buy your house looking like, you have the power and the creativity to totally change that. The door is what I guess some people know me for on the internet, because I love to seasonally paint it, and it is currently butter yellow for the spring. I use stencils for the sides, and then I hand drew some of it. And I really love this door. It was also really cute at Christmas time and in fall. And I think it's just a really fun way to bring the outside of your house completely to life. All right, come on inside. So I live here with my husband, Matt, my 2 sons, Hudson and Charlie, and my dog, Claude. And I'm a content creator. I started out as a fashion content creator, and then I kind of segued into DIY and home, and that is where I land now. All right, now we're standing in my vestibule, which is the newest addition that we just added on. And my favorite part for convenience is that there's a coat closet. It has been a lifesaver, but my actual favorite part is the tile, because it's so special. It came all the way from London. It's from a company called London Mosaic, and it was really fun picking it out. I really wanted something that just stands out as me and is really specific to my mudroom, which I feel like this accomplishes that goal. And then the bench seat is actually a DIY that I built myself that I'm really proud of. I knew when we designed the space that I wanted to have a moment where you walk in and you can hang your bags and your coats, and also that I could style it seasonally, which is like always my on the back burner, what I actually want to do. It's like, it looks exactly like how I envisioned it when I saw the plans, so I'm really grateful for that. All right, let's talk about the fireplace. Should I put it on? Yeah. There we go. So in renovating, things come up really quickly, and all of a sudden it was like we needed a fireplace around, and I was frantically looking online, and I felt like I couldn't find exactly what I wanted. And then I was upstate antiquing and I found this and I fell in love. This is all hand carved in the 1800s, which I felt was really special. But more importantly, it perfectly fit the space, which was really hard to find. Now it's here forever and I love it. We're now standing in my kitchen, which used to be my dining room and laundry room, which was super weird. But the first renovation, we turned it into a kitchen, which is awesome. We added this window, we added the skylights. I really knew I wanted to have an open shelf moment. So when you walk in the front door, the first thing you see is the open shelving. And I'm always redecorating it seasonally, or if I'm feeling bored or whatever. I'm also gonna call out my Lenox Spice Village because this is like my pride and joy. They're so cute and they're also functional, so the spices are actually in them. They're just so cute, I love them. One thing I wanna mention is that I really love the functionality of this kitchen, but when I designed it, I was playing it very safe. So it's all white. And if I were to do it over, I probably would have picked like green cabinets or yellow cabinets or something that fits me more. I love it. I'm not complaining at all. I'm really grateful for it. But I just think with design, it's like the more comfortable you feel, the more wild your choices might be. And I didn't have wild choices. But that doesn't stop me now from adding a lot of character in with little artwork and curtains. I always like to change the curtains out and painting the trim. Like little things make such a big difference. I also added these little scallops under the cabinets and they're literally taped on with packing tape. Like I'll actually show you. You can literally take it off. Like it takes 2 seconds to do something like this in your kitchen, and it, to me, adds a lot of character. I'll definitely be painting this orange in the fall, like come check it out on my Instagram, but it's just fun, it's creative, and my favorite part of the kitchen, you have to come see it, is the wall that I've painted. I think this is the 5th or 6th time I've painted it. It's currently butter, because clearly I'm hyper fixated on butter yellow. But it has been pumpkins, it's been gingerbreads, it's been snails last year because I found a wicker basket and we named her Snailer Swift. And I was like, okay, Snailer's having a moment, she's gotta be on the wall. So it's always changing. It's just so fun having the ability to be creative and not be scared to like touch my walls, because I think when you first get a house, you're like, the walls are so perfect and I'm scared to mess them up. But it's like, you can just sand it down. It's fine. It's not that serious to me, at least. And it just makes me so happy. And I hand painted all of them and it was very therapeutic. And then one more thing, which I just did this year that I think is really fun, is I dislike my microwave because it's stainless steel and not that cute. So I just kind of cover her up with a little curtain, and I like to change out the curtain as well. And it just makes it more cute in here. We're in the bathroom with Snailer Swift, my famous snail wicker basket. She's found her landing place in my main bathroom, which used to be my kitchen, actually. So my bathroom was white for like the first 5 years after we redid it. And then last year I took the plunge and I color drenched it. I think painting a ceiling is a very scary choice when you're doing it, but I think it makes a huge impact in any space, especially this one, because it's kind of a small space and the tiles are all white. So by adding in a painted ceiling, it just created energy and life in here, and it matches every season. And I'm really happy with it. So we are now in my bedroom. It's taken me a lot of years and paint colors to get to this point. It's been yellow, it's been smaller, it's been a lot of different things, but now it's my little cozy haven. When I first bought the house, I had a door here. It was like a front door. It was very strange. And our bed was actually in this corner right here. There was a heater. So it was like less than ideal. When we renovated, we knocked down a lot of walls. Now it's much different, and I'm really happy that we have enough space to like each have a nightstand, you know, small joys. And I love to switch out the space seasonally. I completely change it every season. So from the rug to the comforter to the little artwork on the wall. I like stenciled this artwork for spring, summer. And then the shelf moment, I love to switch up seasonally. The pillows as well. The curtains. So I do have a storage unit. I know I keep talking about changing decor. So I have a storage unit where I have all of the seasons organized. So I love to redo the bedroom every season. Let me show you this wall also, because I painted this gallery wall and I absolutely love it. So we're standing in front of my pride and joy, my bedroom gallery wall. I hand collected all of this from a bunch of different vintage stores and antique stores. And I have a family picture, which I love this one of us. And then my friend made me this, which is our old camper van. So it's very sentimental. We sold it during 2020. And I just love the whole color scheme, and I feel like everything fits together really perfectly. My husband really wanted a television in our room, but we both love the gallery wall, so we didn't want to get rid of it. So we actually put up a projector screen that we can just pull down. It's just so great, and we play video games on it, and we watch Netflix, and it's nice not ruining this moment, but like being able to watch from bed. We are in my closet, which is where all the magic happens, and this is the best part to me, the shoe wall. I feel like my clothing is an extension of my home decor. I also used to work in merchandising, and I have a degree in merchandising, so I love to view my closet as a store that I'm merchandising. So I love to create like a color story every season and just pull out bags and shoes and things to get me inspired when I'm getting up in the morning so I can easily grab and get dressed from. I absolutely love that this is gold. It's just a small detail, but I think it makes a massive difference when you walk in and you see it. It just elevates the whole space. And then in my closet, I love to display all of my favorite Polaroids and photo booth moments and notes and things my kids write me. I just love how special Polaroids feel, and that I get to wake up and be surrounded by pictures of my loved ones. We are in my favorite room of the house, which is my loft that was a dark hole, and now it's like the happiest little cozy bubble that has ever existed. So the first thing that I did was I added 3 skylights, and it instantly brightened the space. And then I was like, I have ideas. So I actually built these bookcases myself. I knew I wanted to do like a floor to ceiling, really impactful, vibrant, colorful bookcase. And I think that this checks that box. And then I felt like this door needed something, so I like to paint it every season and add little details on it. And then I felt like it still needed more, so I took on the crazy challenge of wallpapering it, and I wanted to do the ceiling also. So after I wallpapered all of this side all the way to the other side, I realized that I had to get to this space above the steps that is like 15 feet up, and I had to rent a ladder, and it was scary and just this whole crazy adventure, but I think it was worth it, and this space really does feel completely transformed from what it used to be. All right, you ready to go into the little secret hideout? It is actually my youngest son's bedroom. The best part of my son's bedroom is his closet, which is just so vibrant and happy, and it's like childhood dreams come true. And I really wanted to do some sort of scalloped trim, and eventually I'm gonna do it around the whole room. So I love this little scalloped moment, and it just reminds me of being a kid and like the joy of color and fun toys and books. He absolutely loves this. He always comes downstairs in his NASA little spacesuit. It's the cutest thing ever. And he just has so much fun with it. Thanks for coming over, and stop by anytime at Steffy on Instagram and Steffy DeGreff on TikTok. I'll see you soon. Claude says bye too. Say bye.
Hi, I'm PJ.
And I'm Thomas.
And this is our renovation story.
And I remember putting that tarp up. We were like up on the roof, like pouring rain, like so cold, like slipping, almost breaking our neck, like putting the tarp over, and I was like, this has to be rock bottom. We have been together for 13 years. We have been married for 8. Oh my gosh, 8. This year will be 8, right?
I always let you answer this because I never know
It's
these
8.
questions.
It's 8. It's 8. We met back in 2009 at a mutual friend's get-together, and then we reconnected a year later on Facebook. We just hit it off. We both grew up in the same small town, and so we bonded over that. We bonded over our love of homes and family. The rest is history. We have 3 children. Alan is 7, Zechariah is 6, and then our daughter Ariana is 5. We wanted to buy our home. I think the biggest reason is because it's the house that I grew up in. My mom and dad bought our house, I think in 1985. They renovated it themselves.
When his mom and dad bought the house, there's a photo of his mom, Lila, standing out front with a yard sign. And so when we bought the house back, we kind of recreated that. Like, he has his handprints in the pavement outside in the front. And so it's like him and his brother and his sister, and there's just so much history of his family like being here. And they had the house and then went through tough times and lost the house, and we were able to buy it back.
Whenever we bought it, it was a complete wreck.
The doors were all off the hinges. Like, there was not a single window in the house that wasn't like busted out. It was a party house and it was destroyed.
I will admit it was kind of sad to see like my childhood home in that state.
I feel like we had like bright eyes of like, we're gonna get in here and we're gonna renovate it. We knew it was bad, but I don't think we knew that it was gonna get to the point where we ended up gutting everything. So we took it down to the studs. We redid all of the plumbing, the electrical, the insulation, the drywall, the molding, like everything. We have like the shell of the exterior of the house that's original, and then everything else is basically new. But we knew that we wanted to try to keep the character and the history of it. Ultimately, I'm happy with how it turned out.
We knew that we wanted to keep like the original charm and integrity. It's like our living room and our office, so not much has changed there.
This is the very first room that you walk into at our house. It's also my favorite room. This is the room that I like to drink coffee in the morning. When we were renovating the house, we knew that we wanted to try to keep the original windows, so we kept all of the original windows. Some of the glass was broken, so we had to pull glass from like windows that we didn't use on the back of the house. It had the bookends, and we knew that we wanted to keep them, but they were like painted in lead paint and were in really bad shape, so we had to replace them.
This room is cozy.
Yeah.
I feel like it sets the tone for our house. Like, it's like the old windows mixed with the old floors and just like the books, and it kind of creates an atmosphere like as soon as you walk in the door. And then of course the hutch.
This is our favorite piece that we have found. We found it at an estate sale. I think we both agree, right? Like, this is definitely your favorite
definitely.
piece.
I love it.
And one thing that we display on this is things that we have found while we traveled. So we've found like different rocks and shells that we have brought home, and we use it to display. Our kids have joined in on doing that. So our oldest son, this is the first thing that he's added to our collection.
So whenever we first moved in, we used this as our living room, added the desk, which used to be our dining room table. But now it's our big 9-foot table. This is where we do like the kids' homework. This is where we do our emails and do our other work. It is nice because it is big enough so it can fit, you know, a couple people.
We are always on the lookout for different art pieces, and so we found these on yard sales and Facebook Marketplace and thrift stores and antique stores, and it's really neat once you get them all together. And Thomas, you did this wall.
What I'll do is just like lay them out on the floor directly above the wall in the pattern that I want them to be. I don't like them to be perfect. I don't like them to be symmetrical.
So we've made it to our laundry room. When we originally finished the house, we actually never finished this room. It was just a white room with a washer and dryer on this wall and then junk everywhere. We decided that we were going to renovate it. So when picking the paint color, we had traveled to Amsterdam a few times, and over there's this like dark moody green that you see on doors and like shutters, and we fell in love with it. And so we tried to like get as close to that color as we could to paint the laundry room. And so we went with this dark moody green that kind of, you sometimes say it looks kind of blue, but
the name of the paint has green in it. What is it? Black forest green?
That one is nocturnal green.
Oh, nocturnal green.
And so we built the open shelving above the washer and the dryer. I added the cabinets on each side with the butcher block top. And then we just filled the upper portion of the wall with all kinds of different prints. You had the idea of using like art books to frame.
Yeah, well, that's something that I've been doing for like 10 plus years. A lot of these, like especially above the washer and dryer, are from like a study on Dutch oil paintings or something like that. It's a great way to get good art for relatively cheap. Growing up here, there's always so much that I wanted to do, and my extent, because I was only like 13, would just be like repainting every room. Like I probably painted every room 3 times. Growing up, like my family would come home and be like, oh my gosh, or like I'd rearrange like rooms and they'd be like, Thomas did it again. So now we're standing in the dining room. There used to be French doors here that separated the living room and the dining room. Those were not original to the house though. My mom and dad put those in the 80s. PJ was like, no, those have to go, and pick those out.
They took up a lot of space because when they were open, they were in this room, so we wanted to get rid of it. And then I think this casement opening was a little bit smaller originally because it had the door frame. So we widened the opening coming into this room, but then we matched it all the way down through. So this opening was not here originally, and so there was a small door here, and that was closed off so you couldn't see through the house. And one of the first things that I told Thomas was, I want to be able to see through the house whenever you walk into it. We actually spend a lot of time, we always do like family dinner with the kids in here, and
we do. We're one of those family that actually like uses their dining room. I know like dining rooms are becoming one of those rooms that are almost like obsolete. People usually have like eat at the kitchen island or like have a breakfast nook. We eat every night and every morning here. In these old Craftsman homes, they were just like these skinny, very like steep stairs that would normally have just gone to an attic. Like back then, like they didn't really use the upstairs as like living space. It was mostly just for like storage and stuff. They still kind of felt like that whenever we bought the house back.
We redid the staircase. We added a new newel post and opened up the bottom portion of the staircase and then closed off the rest. And I really love how that turned out.
There was lots that we disagreed on when designing our home.
Luckily, we had already went through one renovation and we learned a lot from that first one that we did together by the time that we got to this one. I remember what our biggest, we'll say, discussion was?
Of course, it was the light switches. We got in this like humongous fight. Discussion about the placement of the light switches in the dining room.
Yeah.
Who won?
You won. Yeah.
I never win, but this one I did win. Do you remember I wanted to paint the whole house white, and PJ just kept being like that's not the house for this. Like it's a Craftsman home. Like we want like warm, earthy colors, and I'm so glad that you fought me on that.
Basically, if you want to test your relationship, do a renovation together. That'll do it.
Yes. We are now in the kitchen. This is the original kitchen in regards to where it was in the house. However, it looks nothing like it did whenever we bought the house. So before it was like this L-shaped kitchen that my parents did in the 80s. So there was like dark stained cabinets. They didn't go all the way to the ceiling. There was wallpaper, laminate countertops, and then like a built-in desk that every kitchen like in the 80s and 90s had, you know, like it just fills up with stuff and piles of paper. And so PJ came up with the layout of the new kitchen, which is basically like an oversized galley kitchen.
For the countertops, we used a granite counter. We really wanted to use a soapstone, but the maintenance with soapstone is so hard. So we did granite, but we had it honed. So it really gives the appearance of a soapstone countertop.
I think when you hear granite, sometimes you think like your 2000s granite where it's like shiny and speckled, and that's fine, but like it's not the look that we wanted for this house. And so granite is so durable though. Like I'll take a hot pan out of the oven and just set it right on the counter. Mm-hmm. Like there's no staining, like we spill our wine all the time. And I mean, not all the time. I don't know why I said that. Like spilling our wine all over the place. When we happen to spill our wine sometimes, it doesn't stain. And you can, like I said, they're so indestructible. Like they can take anything, and we love them. So
we did the farmhouse sink, and we did the aged brass for the hardware. We did inset cabinets, which I really love. I feel like it gives it more age when you do the cabinets inset. On the stove wall, we did the hood, and then underneath the cabinets on the stove wall, we did little drawers. Like on this side, we have all of our spices, and they're right here beside the stove, and then we keep our measuring cups on that side. And it really is practical. It's nice to have it right there while you're cooking. The kitchen island is a thrift store find that I DIY'd and redid. So it's got a metal base and then a nice thick butcher block top.
Kitchen is something that it was a nod to the time that this was built. It's not necessarily like a kitchen that you would have seen in this house back in 1924, but like the finishes that we chose kind of borrow from different elements of the like 1920s and 30s to create kind of like a whole space that feels old, but is definitely like a very new kitchen.
It's funny when we have people over at our house, instead of like sitting at the living room where there's tons of space or somewhere else, we always find ourselves with whoever we're with around the island. And it's not that big of a kitchen, but I think it's just a welcoming space, and it's fun to entertain in here. This is our living room. Originally, this was a small like back porch that had like a laundry room and a half bath in it. And it was like eaten up with termites. We knew that we were gonna have to tear it off. So when we tore it off, we decided that we were just gonna build an addition. So we ended up building a 16 by 24 foot addition. At the time, I think we were thinking it was gonna end up being used as like a sunroom, but over time, it was a dining room, and now it's been a living room for a while now. We ended up doing a bonus room above this living room, and we later ended up having to add the beam that goes across this room. And at the time when we were doing this renovation, we really just wanted the room to be like open and have tall ceilings. And so we were really upset about having to put that beam in. But then we found a way to kind of incorporate it into the room, and then we added the faux beam going this way. And ultimately, we were really happy with how it turned out. We knew that we were going to renovate the second floor, and that we wanted to add, it had two very small bedrooms and a really weird like bowling alley bathroom. And we knew that we wanted to renovate it, but by the time we got to it, the roof had been neglected so bad that we ended up having to rip off the entire second floor of the house. So like when we were standing on the first floor, you could look up and you saw clouds, like you saw the sky. We weren't planning on doing that. We were like, we can make it work, and you know, we'll make what's there work. And then because we had to rip it off, that means replacing everything. So on top of like doing a whole addition on top of a house, you have the additional cost. So I mean that jumped the price of how much it was going to cost to renovate it up as well. So that was a big one.
The day after, we ripped off the whole like upper story, and so like you could see the sky, like PJ mentioned, like it started pouring.
We at the time were trying to save the original hardwood floors throughout the house, and there was no roof, and it rained for like a month. Our basement filled up with like 4 feet of water, and the hardwood floors were covered. Like we were out here the day after the roof got taken off, and we had bought like a $300 tarp to cover the house. so the tarp was on the roof, but the staircase, like the opening for the staircase was open still. And so as it rained, the tarp started filling up like a pool in the staircase until it ripped and just flooded the whole house. That's what happened.
It's like a water park in our house.
Awful.
It was so awful.
A positive surprise was that we were able to save the hardwood floors. After we adopted the kids, our daughter had just a plain white room, and we really wanted to do something for her that was special. And so we asked her what color she wanted her room to be. And we gave her a complete room makeover. And so we painted her room like this nice, warm, moody pink. Two of the pieces that are in Anna's room, one being the daybed, was a DIY project. We found it online and brought it home and redid it. And then another one was a hutch that honestly had been like left out in the weather, and when we first found it, it did not look like it was going to be able to be saved. But after a little bit of paint and a little bit of work to it, it actually turned out really cute. So we keep all of her like books and knickknacks in there.
Outside of her room, you can walk towards the end of the hall, and that is our guest room. So this is the bedroom at the front of the house. It gets the most beautiful blinding light first thing in the morning. It's such a fun bedroom. I love the slope of the ceilings, and it just feels like you're tucked away like a little attic. This was what was, well, not originally, but whenever I was living here, this was like a long, skinny, narrow bathroom. This is like a pattern. My mom went out of town and my dad renovated. She was gone, so he's found an opportunity, sound familiar? And he like ripped off the dormer, like the original 1924 dormer that was on the house, and he put in this like awful doghouse shaped dormer. Like my mom still talks about it to this day. She's like, it's so cringy. Like the whole neighborhood was talking about how bad it looked, and it looked like that until we bought it back and then renovated it. We obviously ripped the whole upstairs off of our house and redid everything up here, so we used that opportunity to make a big bedroom.
It's like a dark green color, and it really, because before it was just solid white. It wasn't fine, but it was a very boring room before, and Thomas picked a paint color. I left and came home and it was painted. I added a little bit of trim to the ceiling just to kind of change it up a bit. I think we had most of the furniture. A lot of the furniture pieces we found at like estate sales. I really like how it came together. It's definitely we wanted the room to be like if somebody were to come over to our house and spend the night, that they go in there and they can just like fall asleep. And it's so like dark and moody.
I feel like it's a room that could handle being so dark. This is the upstairs bath. We call it the kids' bathroom, but it's also just the bathroom. Like if guests come over, this is the one that they use. So it's nice that it's such a large space. It's actually one of the largest rooms in our home. Whenever we were renovating this house, we fell in love with the idea of turning like an old bedroom into like a bathroom.
So we wanted the floor to kind of look like a slate tile, but we went with the ceramic just for durability and maintenance. So it was the closest tile that we could find that kind of looked and resembled slate.
This room is also painted White Dove, our favorite white paint. It's not stark, it's not yellow, it's like just this perfect middle ground, and it just like highlights every room. Anytime someone asks us like, what color white should I do? Our first thing is like always White Dove. We tried to choose like more time period appropriate lights. So we have like the schoolhouse lights, the pendants in here, and then the sconces above the sink.
So I'm always inspired by that before and after. I love like taking something that has just been let go and really putting like time and love into that, whether it's like a piece of furniture or a living room or an entire house.
I've only not lived in this house 8 years of my whole life, and so I'm happy to be raising our kids in the same house that I was raised in. When people walk through our front door, I hope that they feel comfortable and cozy and just warm, and like that this is a safe space, and they just feel welcomed and accepted here.
I think one of my favorite things about thrifting is that you always have a story and a memory around finding the piece. You have to do hunting, like you're sweating, you might cry, like you get stuck on the highway in order to find these little pieces. There's always a story and a memory. So rather than just like an aesthetic piece you add to your home, there's a whole day wrapped around all these little items. It's nice. Hi, I'm Caroline, and welcome to my handmade home in Washington, D.C. I'm a YouTuber. I have an interior design YouTube channel. I also have a podcast. I've been in this apartment for a little over 2 years now, and I feel like it now feels like my home. Yeah. The bay windows in my apartment were 100% the selling point for me. There's really high ceilings, there's nice millwork, but I think the windows do most of the heavy lifting. One of my proudest things in this apartment, actually the first thing I had before I even found the apartment, was this dining table, which I thrifted. I got from Facebook Marketplace, $300. It's possibly not the right shape for the bay windows, but it's so easy to live with. It makes the space very livable. So I really love it. And I do spend a lot of time here working, moping, like spiraling, reflecting. This is where most of my activities happen. It's scuffed in the correct way, so I don't feel precious about like getting candle wax or markers or pins or scratches, and that felt very important to me. Everyone loves this table and everyone is correct. It's good. I do really like to try to find opportunities to add color or pattern or more interest to your apartment that's probably bare white walls. Even just adding curtains to my living room. These are like faux curtains. These curtains don't actually close, but they add dimension, they add color, a little bit of texture, make it a little cozier and softer. And then that ends up being like the pop of color in the living room. And then yeah, I do actually spend most of my time sitting right here working, which is why I hung these two little frames very randomly on this tiny sliver of wall. It's not an obvious choice, but I hung them up for me. I think those are the little fun things to find in your space of like, what would make me delight in this, as opposed to like the Instagram post or whatever. If I had to describe my home in 3 words, it would be cozy. I definitely want my home to feel homey, just like welcoming, calming, not just for presentation, not just like a museum, and durable because I want people to feel like they can relax, like they can put their feet up on the couch, like they can, you know, spill on the table. I often got in trouble for that growing up, and I'm committed to having a home now that like you can live in it, you can break things, you can scratch things, it's okay. And it's haunted. And it's haunted. Listen, I don't know the details, I'm not in charge of the haunting. I still like the space. Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. There's a presence in moments, yeah. I used to work as a software developer and I did UX design. And that's actually where I learned a lot of design principles. I think what I really honed in website design is balancing form with function, like the way you move through a website, the way you move through a space. That's like a main part of design, not just the colors and the drapes and the cool decor pieces, but what makes it functional. There are tiny things in my home that I feel like make it exponentially more livable. For example, when you enter the apartment, you're immediately in my living room. Like there's no entryway, there's no time to collect yourself. You're immediately in the heart of the apartment. I had to kind of fake my way to various drop zones. When I enter the apartment, there's immediately somewhere I can hang my purses, I can hang my coat, I can drop my keys so I know where they're gonna be because otherwise I'm losing them. Another tiny addition, I have this corner next to my couch where there's not really room for a side table. I ended up putting a tiny shelf, and it makes all the difference in the world to not just be having to hold your phone when a guest is over, to have somewhere to put your drink down. I think those are often overlooked in design, but those tiny pieces are what make the space livable, makes it like easy to navigate. And I think working on websites kind of got me thinking about that a lot. This guy is probably one of the first things people comment on, DIY artwork. I did make it, which you can tell if you look closely, it's DIY. I had this giant wall and I wanted to do one large piece. I love fabric swatches. I collect them like nobody's business. It's just like a personal addiction. And so I made this DIY canvas like frame and put the fabric swatches up there. The frame is falling apart and I won't be fixing it. And here's why. The way I feel about DIYs is kind of the same as tattoos. Like, They're a snapshot of a moment. They can just be a representation of something you're excited about and something you tried and permanently put on your wall or your body in the moment. And the beauty of them changes over time. I'm not gonna fix this frame, so people need to stop asking me to. I really love this corner. I think this corner is underappreciated. I really love running artworks up the wall. These are DIY blind contourings I did, which is like a sketch when you don't look at the paper, of my family members. You don't have to be a talented artist to do it, and you can make something really personal. I love those. I just thrifted the frames. I thrifted my little like accent chair, and it came with this bright blue cushion, which again, usually I don't do blue. Just use a spray adhesive to recover it. And then I use the same fabric to recover this lampshade. I love stuff like that where it's like, it's hard to mess it up and it still has a really big impact in personalizing your space. The thing I'm the most excited about right now are these shelves. They are custom made, handmade by my brother, who's an amazing woodworker. He has his own channel where he shows that. I couldn't really figure out a place to put my books. My amazing, talented brother made these shelves by hand for me. Every time I walk out into my living room, I like scream a little bit. I'm so happy. They're so special and completely customized to the space. So that is basically the living room. Now follow me into the hallway. This is the little baby hallway that connects my front living room to my kitchen. It's a very tight space. There's these nice high ceilings, so I really like running the art all the way up and just like making a dramatic moment. I'm very dramatic. I think every home needs some art that upsets somebody, at least someone. If your home is full of art that everyone is equally okay with all the time, then you're probably living in a department store. Like, it's probably not gonna feel very personal. People get so upset about, I don't know, I have all these portraits of old men and like really creepy paintings and 19th century drawings of like teeth. This one is how to wrap a human body, baby, leg, corpse. People really don't like that. This one is just of bacteria under a microscope. I love them. They're opinionated. Like, they have an opinion, they feel very personal. We all want our space to feel cohesive, but I think you can go like too hard on being cohesive and too hard on being matchy-matchy or correct and lose some of your personality. So I think if you like something weird, that's a great move. And then if we go right down here at the other end of the hall is my bathroom, tiny bathroom. I tried to make some bold choices in my bathroom, and I think they're fine. I give myself like a B maybe, but it's definitely my least favorite space. I feel like I learned about needing to see what paint looks like when it's next to a light source, because the light source in there like blows out the paint to so much more bright orange, and I didn't really think about that. The way the bathroom looks now is actually the second time I've made it over. The first time I chose paint colors and a wallpaper that like they technically went together and they were the same color palette, but I didn't individually love any of them. And then when it was all finished, like it was cohesive technically, but I didn't really like it. Like it just fell flat, didn't do anything for me. I think in that moment I'd gotten distracted by like what works and what was correct or predictable, as opposed to something weird that really excited me. When the DIY or a design experiment doesn't go the way you want, just like, you know, it's like all of life, figure out what you learned from it, and that's really the only way you ever get to a final product that's like more personalized and feels like you. One of my favorite spots in the apartment is in my kitchen, where there's just like a little sweet corner. The light is kind of moody and there's no seating in there, but there's a tiny stool, and I will sit on the stool like a child and like eat my meals there like a little rat or something, because I just love being in there and it feels so cozy. When I was apartment hunting, it was actually a big bonus to me that there was a separate kitchen. Because I love design, having separate rooms is really good. I know that open concept has been popular for a while, but it's really hard to make different design choices when all the rooms bleed into each other. So I love having a separate kitchen. And as you can see, I ended up painting it blue. When I moved in here, all of the walls were painted gray. I'm just renting, so my landlord said I could paint them either white or cream. I started with white, and I have since worked on him and worked on our relationship of trust to be able to ask him that I could paint other colors. And he basically trusts me to do anything now. I guess thinking about designing the space, it's really helpful to like find your starting point. And for me in this room, it was the thing I hated, which was the cherry cabinets. Like wouldn't have chosen it, but they're big, they're here, and how do you work with them? And so from there, I landed on the blue paint. And from the blue paint, I knew I wanted to have a lot of artwork and things that really popped. So I love getting a couple, I don't want to use this pan, like I don't cook, but it's so cute, it's so cute. Some like artworks that popped really nicely against the blue. Ooh, this is one of my most prized possessions in the whole world, or in this apartment, which is a little honey jar. This is a custom honey jar that I designed and my brother made by hand. Oh, I thrifted this marble washstand and it was pretty beat up when I got it. There were just all these nicks and scratches. I just took a wood stain pen and fixed all the little cracks and scratches. Wood stain pen is one of your best friends. I feel like I revived this whole piece. Also applied, this is just like a top, like peel and stick backsplash back here that kind of matches the blue paint on the walls. I love it. All renter friendly, just like updated hardware. I love updating hardware because you get to touch it, and every time you touch it, it like feels good in the soul, I feel like. Yeah, this is my tiny cozy kitchen. So welcome to the bedroom. It is pretty tight. All the furniture in this room is thrifted or secondhand. I thrifted this bed, this 4-poster, for $100, Facebook Marketplace. And while this very nice man who sold it to me was attaching the bed to my car to drive home, he told me about how a friend of his died in the bed. And it also felt too late for me to back out, so I've just taken this bed and it is definitely haunted. I describe my home as haunted. This is just one of the many parts that are haunted. And I sleep comfortably, but I would say it is disturbed sleep. But I love it. I actually love this room so much. It feels very cozy, really high ceilings, which I wanted to emphasize by wallpapering the ceiling. My amazing brother helped me with that. He's a saint. I probably owe him forever. It was like very difficult to do. I don't know that I would recommend. I might hire out. If you want to wallpaper your ceiling, I might hire out to do that. But I love it up there. It's a William Morris print, and it's just like so fun to lay on the bed and just like look up. I really love it. I really actually like the gallery wall in the corner here because it goes across 2 walls, which just feels fun and frivolous to me. There's also more art up there that people hate. This like creepy couple. It's just a print I got, but I love it. I love the weird tension, and some people say that might be contributing to the haunting in my apartment. It might, but I take it. And I did tile. This is like a peel and stick tile on the fireplace, which I really like because it is kind of an unexpected pattern. It's not just like more matchy florals. I like that it brings a little geometry, a little friction. That to me feels like less matchy-matchy, more personalized. I've got 3 different light sources. Other than the overhead, I'm trying to always get away from the overhead lighting. I don't look pretty in it. But also like it sets a better mood. So I've got this really sweet little pleated lamp, this guy, and my favorite is the sconce over there, which is important for 2 reasons. First of all, because the apartment really is haunted, it's nice that I can turn off the last light without getting out of bed. I can just like be safe, turn off the light. And then it's over top one of my favorite thrifted pieces is this little baby artwork. It is such a good frame on it. It's really sweet. I probably got it for $5. There's this sense of urgency when I move in somewhere new to want to just have all your decor pieces selected and chosen and moved in and done. But the truth is, to get a really lived in, homey, cozy space, it takes time and curating and layering and having the mix of items that are real memories from your life, not just collected in one shopping trip when you moved in. It really helps your home feel so much more personal. like somebody's homey. Personally, I do feel that the most important opinion about your space is your own. It's not, does it match? It's not, is it cohesive? It's not, will it look good on Pinterest? It's like, does this thing delight you? So if you can kind of, I think, keep a gauge for that little feeling of delight about things, you're on a good path.
Hi HGTV, I'm Jess. Welcome to my Kailua home. This is our lanai. This is where we gather and have most of our meals. We entertain here. We love our indoor-outdoor kind of living here in the lanai. We love all the greenery that surrounds us and the mountain range that we get to see, the ko'olaus. It's so beautiful to just have a view of the mountains and be in the beautiful weather in Hawaii. Here we have some of my chairs that I designed. They're made of natural materials. It's an indoor-outdoor chair, which is perfect for living in Hawaii. And I'm just in love with them. I have a design studio called Wild Child, where I design custom furniture and custom home decor. I wanted to create beautiful furniture to make a home that felt like mine. A little bit Hawaiiana, international, and I wanted it to be a lot of natural materials, and so designed my own pieces and bring them to Hawaii. Come on inside, I'll show you my tour of my home. These are special to us. When my daughter started drawing, she would draw all day for hours, and so we just found some driftwood on the beach and we made our own little custom frames to honor them. This is our dining room table that I designed. This is also a common gathering place for my family and some friends. And then I also customized these chairs, and so we're able to customize what kind of material we wanted up here, which is the natural rattan, and then I also customized the leather. This leads to our living room. I love that this is an open concept space. I'm in love with this wallpaper. It's colorful, it feels like Hawaii. It just brings me joy. When I'm designing for my home, I'm designing with function in mind and not just things looking beautiful, but how do I want people to interact in my home? And then I kind of found my flow and color scheme, which is a lot of blues and greens with rich woods, natural materials, rattans or leathers, to give it a little bit of a pop, make it feel a little bit more tropical. I have some of my terracotta pieces here. I work with individual artisans in Bali, and so I had this piece made and I have all the colors customized for my pieces. I grew up internationally, my husband did as well, and we love traveling. We've been to over 45 countries. And so having those experiences and seeing beautiful art from all over the world is really inspiring. And so every time we go somewhere, I've tried to bring home a reminder of where we've been and what's been special to us. I still have all those memories, and it's shaped my design and my business and how I think about the world now. Let's head into the kitchen. As you can see, it's pretty open. We pretty much didn't have to do too much with our kitchen. It looked great. Everything was in full working order. We did not want to upturn our whole life and spend a lot of money on having to do a reno. So to help customize the kitchen and make it feel like home, we just did a little bit of touch-up paint. Changed out all of our fans. We changed out our pendants. So it would be a little bit more cohesive and all have the same kind of rich wood tones. And just made it ours by putting some of my items in here from my design business, and also putting some of our china from our wedding that we're just starting to use again after having small children. It's a little bit of sophistication, but it also has a Hawaii feel. Just feels genuine to me. The bathroom was pretty much fine when we moved in, but we ended up doing pineapple wallpaper in here just to make it feel a little bit more Hawaiian and tropical. Pineapple is a welcome symbol, so we wanted people to feel welcome. My husband and I and my dad actually put it up together and made it feel a little bit extra special. And now let me take you into our bedroom. This was a place that I wanted to feel calm, super comfortable and relaxed, which is why we ended up painting the walls blue, just to kind of be a calming place with a little bit of an accent wall. So we kind of focused on kind of the browns, the rusts, and then the blues. These are some of our pictures from Japan. These are actually karaoke masks. So when people are feeling a little shy to be singing in front of other people, you can wear these masks and feel brave. So we ended up getting those from Japan. These are our nightstands. I designed these with Wild Child. This is also a piece that I had custom made. It reminds me of Bali and just feels kind of really relaxed and calm. I also designed this piece to make the space a place that felt special to us. We did a whole gallery wall with things that we really enjoyed, like having this old school picture here of the Royal Hawaiian. This piece is also a piece that my mother sewed when I was born, and so she gave it to me once I became a mom. But I just love the art and the look of it. So I'll bring you into my kids' room. This is one of the most fun rooms that I've done. We kind of kept it a little pure and sweet, just childlike. This bedspread is actually mine from when I was a young girl living in Hong Kong. I kept it so I could give it to my daughter. I couldn't give it up. This is my son's bed. They love sharing a same room together. Here are some pillows that I had made in China. I had this one made, and then my son has this little green one. I also have one of my mirrors. This mirror is one that I had designed. It's made out of pineapple fibers, so it's a natural material, but I kind of like that it's asymmetrical. Lots of whites in this room, and I thought it would be a nice addition here. All right, now we'll take you to the outside. We love how green it is back here. Green and Hawaii and fresh. It's small, but it's a great gathering place for us. Over here is usually where my husband and I just take a seat, have a drink, and watch the kids play. We decided to put this teak surfboard that I designed over here. It just adds a nice touch for decor. We try to make it as Hawaii as possible. It's like a whole nother living room. Outdoor shower. It's just always the perfect temperature here. It is like the most refreshing thing that you could possibly do after a really beautiful day at the beach, getting clean for a nice evening in. We try to be outdoors as much as possible. I really think it has a calming effect on just how you live life, how you go about life, and how you handle some of the day-to-day stresses that might come up. We actually use the outdoor shower more than we use the indoor shower. It's gorgeous any time of the year. Thanks so much for joining us.